Welcome back to Narrations. This is a story about distance, not just the distance between countries, but the distance between who you are and who you might become. It's about leaving home without fully understanding what home means, and about how growing into yourself can feel both exhilarating and unbearably lonely at the same time. This is the story of Brooklyn. Eilis Lacey's life in Enniscorthy moves at a pace so familiar it barely registers anymore. She wakes, dresses, walks the same streets, and steps into the same small shop where she works part-time. The shop is cramped, dim, and ruled by Miss Kelly, whose sharp tongue and sharper judgments make every shift feel like a test Eilis never quite passes. Customers are observed, assessed, and often criticized the moment they leave. Eilis endures it quietly. She is polite, efficient, and almost invisible. Not because she wants to be, but because she has learned that drawing attention rarely leads anywhere good. In Enniscorthy, futures are limited, especially for young women without money or status. You marry, you stay, or you fade into routine. At home, life revolves around her mother and her sister Rose. Rose is steady, capable, admired. She manages the household finances, keeps everything running smoothly, and moves through town with confidence. People respect Rose. They listen when she speaks. Eilis loves her sister deeply, but she also lives in Rose's shadow, not cruelly cast, but unavoidable all the same. Rose notices what Eilis does not. She sees her sister shrinking into herself, settling for a life that offers little room to grow. Quietly, without consulting Eilis at first, Rose makes arrangements. Through Father Flood, a priest with connections in America, she secures Eilis a job, housing, and a chance to emigrate to Brooklyn. When Rose finally tells her, the news lands heavily. Eilis doesn't feel excitement. She feels fear. America is vast, distant, final. Leaving Enniscorthy means leaving familiarity, leaving her mother, leaving Rose, the person who has always steadied her world. But staying means accepting that nothing will change. And that feels just as frightening. The days leading up to departure pass in a strange blur. Clothes are packed carefully. Instructions are given. Advice is offered in fragments. How to behave, how to save money, how to stay safe. No one talks openly about how much this will hurt. At the dock, the goodbye is restrained to the point of cruelty. Rose stays composed. Their mother smiles tightly, holding back tears through sheer force of will. Eilis boards the ship feeling like she is betraying something, even though she doesn't know exactly what. The crossing is brutal. The ship is crowded, loud, and unforgiving. Eilis is violently seasick, confined to her bunk, overwhelmed by the smell of salt and metal and bodies too close together. She feels foolish, weak, and desperately alone. A kind older woman offers her guidance, practical advice on eating, dressing, surviving America, and for a moment, Eilis clings to that kindness as proof she might survive this after all. When the ship finally reaches New York, there is no triumphant arrival. Only exhaustion. Brooklyn assaults Eilis' senses immediately. The noise. The speed. The sheer number of people moving with confidence and urgency. No one pauses. No one notices her hesitation. She feels like she might disappear simply by standing still too long. Her boarding house offers little comfort at first. The other women are confident, outspoken, and sharp-tongued. Dinner conversations move quickly, filled with gossip and opinions Eilis doesn't yet know how to contribute to. She listens carefully, afraid of saying the wrong thing and confirming what she already suspects, that she doesn't belong here. Her job at the department store demands constant cheer. She stands behind the counter smiling at strangers, adjusting accents, learning how to sound American without fully understanding what that means. Mistakes are corrected briskly. There is no room for hesitation. At the end of each day, Eilis returns to her room exhausted, the weight of homesickness pressing down harder at night. She writes letters home obsessively. At first, the letters are honest. She admits she is lonely, overwhelmed, unsure she made the right choice. But when Rose replies with encouragement and pride, Eilis begins to edit herself. She doesn't want to disappoint the sister who sacrificed so much for her. So she lies gently. She says she is fine. That she is settling in. That Brooklyn suits her. Inside, she feels hollow. The loneliness becomes unbearable. She stops eating properly. She loses weight. She drifts through her days as if underwater, smiling automatically while silently counting the hours until bedtime. Father Flood notices. He encourages her to take bookkeeping classes at night, insisting education will give her independence. Eilis doubts herself, terrified of failure, but she enrolls anyway. The classes are difficult. The material is unfamiliar. But slowly, something unexpected happens. She begins to understand. With understanding comes confidence, fragile at first, then growing. She answers questions. She completes assignments. For the first time since leaving Ireland, Eilis feels competent not because she is polite, but because she is capable. Around this time, she meets Tony at a dance. Their first conversation is simple. Tony is warm, straightforward, genuinely interested in her without pushing. He talks about his family, his dreams of building something lasting. He listens when Eilis speaks, never rushing her words or filling silences. With Tony, Eilis feels lighter. Their relationship develops gently. Shared walks, movies, quiet conversations. Tony offers Eilis a version of America that feels welcoming rather than overwhelming. Through him, Brooklyn begins to soften. Streets feel less hostile. Days feel less heavy. Eilis starts to imagine a future that feels chosen rather than endured. And then a letter arrives from Ireland. The paper feels heavier than it should. Before Eilis even opens it, she senses that something has changed, that the life she left behind is reaching out, demanding to be acknowledged. And the balance she has worked so hard to build begins to tremble. Eilis reads the letter slowly, her hands trembling as the words sink in. Rose is dead. The sentence feels unreal, disconnected from everything Eilis has built in Brooklyn. Her sister, steady, capable Rose, who organized her departure, who held the family together, is suddenly gone. There is no warning, no time to prepare. Just absence. Grief hits Eilis in waves. Not dramatic, not explosive, but heavy, suffocating. She moves through her days in a fog, smiling at customers, attending classes, answering Tony's questions with half-formed words. At night, she lies awake replaying memories of Enniscorthy, Rose's voice, her certainty, the way she quietly made space for Eilis to leave. Guilt settles in beside the grief. Rose made it possible for Eilis to escape a life that would have confined her. And now, Rose is gone, and Eilis is here, alive, growing in love, while her mother is alone. The decision feels inevitable. Eilis must go home. Saying goodbye to Tony is harder than she expects. Their relationship has grown into something solid, something real. Tony speaks of the future easily: marriage, a house, a life built slowly and intentionally. The thought of leaving him feels like tearing something newly formed out of her chest. But Eilis believes she is leaving temporarily. She promises Tony she will return. Before she goes, they marry quietly, urgently. A private act of commitment meant to anchor her to the life she has built. The ring feels both comforting and terrifying. A promise made across an ocean. Back in Enniscorthy, everything feels smaller. The streets. The houses. The rhythms of daily life. Yet familiarity wraps around Eilis immediately. People recognize her. Welcome her. Comment on how well she looks. How confident she seems. For the first time in her life, she is noticed, admired even. Her mother leans on her heavily. Grief has hollowed her out, and Eilis steps naturally into Rose's role. Managing the house, handling money, offering quiet support. Responsibility settles over her shoulders again, familiar and heavy. Then opportunity arrives unexpectedly. Eilis is offered a bookkeeping job. A respectable position. One that would allow her to stay close to home, to be useful, to be needed. Jim Farrell enters her life, gentle, attentive, deeply rooted in Enniscorthy. He represents a life that makes sense here. A life built on shared history rather than distant promises. Eilis does not plan to fall for him. It happens quietly. Conversations stretch. Comfort grows. The town that once felt confining now feels reassuring. Eilis realizes that she has changed. She is no longer the invisible girl she once was. She has confidence now. Choice. And with choice comes paralysis. For the first time, Eilis belongs in two places. Brooklyn holds the woman she has become, educated, independent, in love. Enniscorthy holds the girl she was. Now seen differently, valued, needed. Each place offers a future that feels complete. But they cannot coexist. The truth threatens to surface when Miss Kelly, the same sharp-eyed shopkeeper who once belittled Eilis, reappears. She recognizes Eilis, sees through her polished exterior, and exposes what Eilis has been hiding. That Eilis is married. The moment shatters the illusion. Suddenly, staying is no longer a gentle possibility. It is a lie. Eilis understands then that her hesitation is not about love, it is about fear. Fear of choosing wrong. Fear of leaving again. Fear of disappointing someone no matter what she decides. But growth, she realizes, demands commitment. Eilis returns to Brooklyn. The city greets her differently now, not as a stranger, but as someone who knows how to stand her ground. She walks the streets with confidence, no longer shrinking into herself. When she reunites with Tony, the relief is overwhelming. This is the life she chose, even when it terrified her. Eilis understands something at last. Home is not where you are known. It is where you choose to belong. Brooklyn is a story about becoming, about how leaving can shape us, how love can anchor us, and how choosing a future often means accepting the pain of what we leave behind. It reminds us that identity is not inherited, it is built through courage, loss, and commitment. If you enjoyed listening to this story, please like the video, share it with someone who loves quiet, emotionally rich films like this, and subscribe for more narrations.